Welcome to Target Talks. Target Talks is a series of sharing sessions where small but mighty business owners share about their motivation and why they started their own businesses and the story behind the journey. I just want to welcome everyone, and my name is Jamie. So today I'll be hosting this session. This sharing session is brought to you by RISE, a program that equips young people with entrepreneurial skills and knowledge to start small businesses. RISE is supported by City Foundation. We believe that entrepreneurship is not only for just those big startup high-tech companies, but also for small and mighty businesses. RISE aims to showcase these stories of small local businesses that are preserving and still chasing for their dream, for chasing their dreams. And so today I'm happy to welcome our guest Iza from Baked KL, the founder of Baked KL. Welcome to Target Talks, Iza.
Hi, thank you for having me. Hi, everyone.
Awesome. We're so honored to have you here, and we're just really glad that we can also just have this time where we can really learn more about how this all started and really just learn more about your journey so we can learn and just really understand how this all happened. Awesome, cool. So just to introduce a little bit of Baked KL. Baked KL started in 2011 as an online bakery offering customers freshly baked whoopie pies, brownies, and cookies. And then in mid-2012, donation of cookies to reach out sparked the idea of baking for a cause. So their mission is to instill empathy and understand social issues occurring in our community to instigate change. And this is also their social media. These are their social media accounts. Baked KL on Instagram, Baked KL on Facebook, and that's also their website. Iza, did I miss out on anything? Is there anything you
right.
All right. Yeah. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so before we start, I'm just gonna go through the agenda for today. Real quick on what we're gonna do. So we had the welcoming, and then we're gonna have the sharing session. So this is where we have a set of questions that we're gonna ask Iza and to share more about her journey. And after the sharing session, we're gonna go into Q&A. So this is where you guys can also ask any of the questions. I believe there's a question that someone already asked and submitted. And if you have any other questions, you guys can just put it on the chat and ask, and then I'll ask through, and then I'll be the medium to ask Iza. Awesome. And then after the Q&A, we'll be ending, and we also have some announcements at the end. Cool. Now that's that. So these are the social medias again, and in case anyone wants to follow and wants to just check Baked KL. And without further ado, I think I'm just gonna go into the questions immediately and just ask Iza, and let's just kick this and get it started. Cool, Iza, how are you doing? Hope you're okay.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
All right, so we're just gonna go into the sharing session immediately. So the first question that we have is, can you just briefly tell us about your business and just share basically what you do, your business name, and just what you're doing currently as a business.
Okay, so I have an online dessert store. So we do mainly cakes, brownies, and cookies. But it's more into more of a dietary or allergy sort of like market. So we can do normal items. We do normal items, but we also do gluten-free and as well as vegan. And then we also take customized order based on our customers' dietary requirements. So for example, if they want soy-free or nut-free, whatever free, we'll try our best to accommodate that. So that's a portion of it. And then currently also we donate a portion from our profits to different causes every year. So initially when we first started, we did every 2 months. So but we find that the 2 months is a little bit short of a time to sort of blast out what the organization is doing to the community. So and people didn't find it too short to get to know them. So after a few years of doing that, we changed it to every year. So we have plenty of time to shout out what they're doing or share any events that they were currently having. So yeah, we are basically just online. And at first we started out with the Facebook page. This was when I was doing it part-time, like 2011. So I was taking orders from just like last time we had like a form that you embed inside the Blogspot.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's how I was taking orders through this HTML code thingy.
Okay.
Yeah. And then after several years, I thought to myself, like, if I were to do this for real, I would need a proper website. So I built the website, and this was in 2013. But we were still taking orders through the form until 2015, when people were doing this food delivery, and you have a lot of apps and everybody's doing this platform. So we found a platform that was able to cater to what we needed to do in terms of delivery, and we've been doing it ever since. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Sorry, I just want to ask. So you said you built the website yourself, like you did everything yourself?
I can't take the credit fully. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen the ads. Everywhere. So it's basically called Wix.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. So I think it's beginner friendly. You just
it is. Okay.
Yeah, but cool. Of course, for it to sort of like work to its fullest potential, of course you need to know like keywords to put in, the SEO, the hyperlink. So yeah, that plays a part lah. You sort of need to know a little bit of that to make sure that you're using the website. Yeah.
Awesome. So I'm curious on what because you said you were doing it part-time, and then I'm assuming now it's full-time. Just this, what made the shift, like from wanting to go part-time to just doing this like all the way?
So I was working full-time for a fashion house. I was like the marketing exec for the company. I would say I had to work long nights, and I had to go for events and things like that. And the pay wasn't as what I expected, basically. But that didn't really bother me because I had a good team, basically. So I enjoyed the environment, but it was more of, you have a managing director that wants sales, but you also have the designer that wants lavish gowns that just doesn't translate into sales. So you as a marketing person, no matter how many times you try to say, look, these are the numbers, this is what we should do, it doesn't go anywhere. It kind of just be shoved back. So I find that working there, I felt more sort of like my creativity or my juices weren't like being put to use. So I found myself like being stuck and being like less useful in the company. So that's what made me shift. I was doing it part-time at that point. And then I just told my boss, like, because they were all great people, but I just told them, like, can I just, work, take off for about 6 months and do Big KL full time, and if it doesn't work, I'll just come back. And then she was like, yeah, go ahead. So she was really nice about it. So yeah, I did it part-time and I didn't look back. Yeah.
Awesome. Wow, that's quite surprising for your boss to just say, yeah, go ahead. And that's very nice. That's very nice of a boss or manager to even do that. Awesome. Cool. So what inspired you to start your own business?
I think I've always enjoyed, even during school, like you have I don't know if this is in every school now, but you used to have Interact Club and you do this events and things like that. So I've always liked doing things like that. And even in school, I was doing like small businesses like hand-painted T-shirts and things like that. So doing a business, I think it's quite natural for me. But what made me sort of like decide to do it like full on not as a side hustle anymore was just because you have full access to your creativity. It's not it's not someone else telling you your idea sucks, you can't do it. This is like you have so many ideas and you can actually do it. I mean, of course, whether it works or not is a different story, but at least you get to try and you get to see whether it works or not. So everything is kind of like in your hands. So I'm someone who's a bit more expressive and I like to do creative things. So for me, that is sort of very important to how I live my life. So it needs to be there, because if not, I just feel like I cannot express myself, you know? And of course, for Bake KL per se, it's because my family have a few of our family members, like my mom is diabetic, my nephew can't eat eggs and this and that. So like how we started to doing Bake KL was because I was trying to create things for them because they weren't able to have sweet treats. Like my nephew for several years just have like jelly or like no frostings at all, or no sugary things. So I mean, they're kids, so yeah, that's how I sort of started doing Bake KL.
Cool. Thank you so much for also sharing that side. What was your family's response in this whole thing? Like when like deciding to do this full time and also just starting this, like when like you're just becoming your own boss and also just leaving your previous job and starting your own business full time.
My parents have always been supportive for whatever I want to do, because actually before Bake KL, I did a hand painted t-shirt business. After that, I did a lingerie business.
Okay.
And then it was Bake KL. So yeah, so I mean, they were supportive through everything that I wanted to try in my life. So they were pretty supportive, and even when I wanted to rent outside for Bake KL Central Kitchen, they were saying like, oh, you have to pay rent every month, you have to pay for security, you have to pay for expenses that are fixed and will go up higher each time. So yeah, I'm still utilizing home kitchen space, not exactly the house one, but we extended a little bit for Bake KL. So yeah, they've been really supportive. And as always, when you start a business, it's the family and friends that help sort of like build the hype for you before you start finding your first initial customers.
Awesome. So you would say that you going to Bake KL, you were quite familiar with entrepreneurial with your entrepreneurial skills and all that. You almost not familiar, but more like you had some sort of knowledge going into it. Awesome, cool. So Bake KL, like where does everything happen? Like the baking and all that. Do you guys have your own kitchen or is it home based?
It is home based, but we have a separate kitchen because we definitely can't utilize just the normal home oven. So we had to expand the house a bit to accommodate Bake KL production. So so currently we have like about 3 ovens, the deck one, a 2-door fridge, and 1 blast chiller. And then we have about 2 of the huge mixers that is on the floor type, not on the countertop, and then 2 of the countertop mixers. So the space is actually quite small. I mean, I'm looking towards finding a bigger space because we can't accommodate storage and production in a small space. But that is currently what we're
looking
doing.
Into. Awesome. Cool. So I'll just move on to the next question. What were the challenges when you first started and how did you overcome them?
I think when we first started, it was just a challenge of like, because we were, when we first started, it was me and my sister. So we both were working full time. So every time we get back home, we have to bake. So I would say the challenge is just to find a balance of how many orders you wanted to take. Do you want weekends off? Who is going to bake what? Because it's really tiring when you come back from a full-time job and then you have to bake. And then if there's a lot of orders, you have to bake to 12 and 1, and you wake up again at 5 to get ready to work. So you literally just have a few hours of sleep.
Yeah.
And then weekends, obviously, that's when customers usually orders, right, for weekends. So weekends, you also have to work. So the challenge was just to sort of like find the time between you and yourself, or you and your partner, to find time and delegate the job. I would say the challenges are,
So like with these challenges, like how did you guys manage to because you're saying you with your sister, right?
Yeah, correct.
Then like what did you guys do, like a schedule, or did you guys like how do you end up like
we actually schedule, yes, but also the things that we like to bake. So for example, my sister loves to bake this, because I mean it makes sense that you would do things more efficiently when you do something that you actually enjoy the process of baking. So my sister would say like, okay, I'll just do this. So whenever that order comes in, she'll do it. And I won't even be in the kitchen because we have different styles of baking. So I'm a little bit like, I'll clean after, and she's more clean on the go. So because separate style of like baking, we whenever she's in the kitchen, I'm out the kitchen. Whenever I'm in the kitchen, she's out of the kitchen. And we find that we jive better instead of both of us in the kitchen.
Yeah. So so you were saying you were doing this with your sister. Would you say like your sister's basically your business partner?
Yes, I would say my sister is business partner. She's not currently she's not so involved with it anymore. She just had a baby, blah blah, the usual. But she's still big decisions, I would still of course consult her and things like that. Yeah.
So what tips would you give in terms of working with a business partner? Of course, this is your sister also and your business partner, but is there any tips you can give in terms of working with a partner?
Don't work with. It's okay. I think it's okay to work with family. I think the problem is when friends work with friends. I think that would be a problem unless you don't mind losing that friend. And so I think if you want to start a business with a friend, is a friend that you can really jive, or you are willing to lose. So, for example, I mean, over the past few years, I did have a friend who wanted to invest. So this is a friend that I was okay to work with because I also didn't mind losing. I know that sounds like a really bad thing to say about a friend, but you're close, but you're not that close. So, if you were to lose out on the friendship because of any disputes, then it's fine. You don't want to like be stressed about the business at the same time you want to stress about losing the friendship. It's just not necessary. So so I think that would be my tip. Finding a partner is someone that you don't mind losing, especially when you are working with friends, and also someone to complement you, of course. If you don't have knowledge or expertise on certain areas, then bring in someone who has expertise in areas. If you don't know how to bake, you know how to do accounts, but you want to do a bakery, then get someone who can do bake. So
awesome. So you say that that's one of the important things to have as a partner, someone who can basically does not basically it's not you like someone who's like almost the opposite of you that can complement what you're lacking and your weakness, right?
Correct.
Like, awesome. So now that we're in this like period of COVID-19 with MCO and CMCO, what are the challenges you're facing currently and now, and how did you adapt? Of course, you probably already were an online store, but how with MCO and online, how did it affect everything, and how did you adapt to that?
MCO affected so many things. I know a lot of people have this assumption where because F&B and everybody needs food, that F&B is doing so well during MCO, but it's not. I mean, you do. So I definitely think the first MCO was very different in terms of how consumer shops during the first MCO, and the second is very different. So the first MCO, I would say the challenges were, one, I suddenly had a surge of orders, and I had to bring someone in to help. So that's one. But at the same time, you don't want like to get people randomly because of COVID, right?
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Second is that things were out of stock everywhere. That you just couldn't get it. Even our items are mostly imported. So usually for simple things like cream cheese or flour, you get it from the bakery. But for certain specialized items like my gluten-free flour or whatever vegan items that I get it from a proper distributor. So even for them, things that I ordered 6 months now halted. Like the shipment from overseas has halted. So I couldn't get my items in, and my items that I have was already, was already finished. So so it was very difficult because you suddenly can't sell the products that you usually sell, and then you have to suddenly like all of a sudden be quick on your toes to figure out what do you need to sell to like cover all this OPEX basically. Paying your staff and things like that. And then because of the delay and everything, and everything going on around the world, all of a sudden your prices go up. So they charge you, for example, 100 per carton, all of a sudden they charge you 150 per carton. And on top of that, no matter how many cartons you buy, you suddenly have to pay for delivery. So although like maybe it sounds like, oh, you just had to pay 50 ringgit delivery for 5 cartons. So if you split the 50 to 5 cartons, it isn't that much, but it actually is. It really impacts per cost or per gram when you calculate it your product costing. And also in terms of supplies is that because you're trying to secure all the stocks that takes so long for it to come, you need to reserve it, because by the time the stock comes and the supplier just gives the items away to people and it goes out of stock, so you need to reserve it. And to reserve it, of course, you don't want to reserve 1 carton, right? You want to reserve a lot. You need to pay an amount. So that amount actually disrupt your cash flow because you don't have anything coming in, and you're not sure when the items are going to arrive, but you already have like this lump sum of money that you already put in just to reserve the item. So it's just a very stressful time. But during the first MCO, the surge of sales helped in a way to try to cover whatever the loss is. But this MCO, I think, is different because now I feel like people are starting to feeling the pinch. Initially, it was more like, okay, I want to send to this friend how much I miss them, and everyone's apart. So everybody's just like feeling, I don't know, just feeling like, they want to spend for their loved ones. I think now people realize that they're in a pinch financially. A lot of more people can't find jobs and things like that. So the consumer sensitivity and how they shop is very different to the first MCO. So it's nowhere near the sales of during the first MCO.
So currently in this, sorry, let me get my thought process.
Okay.
How did you pivot your business base, like from what you know, from first MCO and all that to now currently, like how, because now you said it's different, right? It's very different. So how do you, with less sales, how do you manage to get by with everything? What strategies would you have? What strategies have you done
to be honest, I don't say I pivot that much. We tried to do this whole pre-order just to manage expectations of demand and supply. So we did pre-order stuff. But I don't know if you realize, because of MCO, there's like a surge also of people doing food business. So whether that's just normal food or even bakery. So the surge, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a problem that a lot of people are doing businesses, but what they're pricing their items at is sort of like spoiling the market a bit. So you find that people are selling burnt cheesecake that I don't know how they calculate, but they can sell like 30 ringgit for like I don't know how many inches, which it just doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, so you have those players come in, and then all of a sudden you're like, people are not buying because there are cheaper options now. And everybody puts baked with premium ingredients, blah 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 blah. So you sort of like, the way we had to pivot was to introduce smaller sort of like a smaller size cakes and brownies, so that people don't have to spend that much on giving out to their friends and family. So for example, if they were to buy a whole cake for 100 something, they now can buy it below 100. So we had to pivot in that. So before this, we didn't have to, we didn't need to.
Yeah.
And because of all these trends coming up, people were selling in smaller items or lower value items, that we had to do that as well. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm gonna ask this question. Or do you think that young people should start their own businesses, and why?
I think they should. I think the reason why, for me, the biggest thing I take from doing my own business is that it teaches me humility and empathy, because how many times, oh my God, am I talking too much? That it's 3:26 now. It's okay if we go over, right?
You can just share. Yeah, we will.
Yeah. Because as a consumer ourselves, myself and all of you, of course, we've made complaints about restaurants, or we take videos and then we viral it, and actually, it's not to say that's not good, but there's always a right way to complain, the right channel to do so. And I feel like once you are a business owner, you finally realize how difficult it is to do customer service, dealing with customers, dealing with runners. It sounds easy, like just order Grab to hantar the cake, but it's actually more difficult than that. And you have more respect to people in the supply chain itself, like from the distributor to the runner to the customer service people. And it actually makes you a better person and a more patient being in general. Aside from that, I think it's very good to sort of do your own business, because nowadays I feel like the cost of living is just not logic for us to just depend on just one source of income. Even if you do as a side hustle, it's very commendable, and I think it's very admirable to do it. I think the best thing to sort of start is to see what the community is lacking, like what kind of like pain point in the society that you think you can fix, and then find a solution for it. And I think that way you can grow further, because even if you do, for example, if you do dessert, right? Like what other values can you put into the business that are different from other? Because if not, you'll be competing like tirelessly among other people that are doing the same thing. So why would you want to start doing the same thing, the same concept, the same branding? So I think even if you're doing nasi lemak, like try to put a different USP or spin to it to scale yourself a little faster. Yeah.
Awesome. So I'm just gonna also thank you so much for sharing that, and thank you for also just sharing. I'm gonna move on into some questions that our audience have asked. So I think there's two more questions that came out in the chat, and so the first one I'm gonna ask is, what kind of variable costs other than raw materials do you need to pay for?
Your utilities, delivery costs, as well as I think this is one that people tend to forget to put, which I made the mistake during the beginning years, but is your labor cost. So sometimes when you do it yourself, you don't really count like how long it takes for you to bake the items, but you sort of have to calculate that and put into your product costing. So it's not just product cost plus packaging, is manual labor, so your per hour. So for example, if my per hour labor is 10 ringgit and it takes me just 30 minutes, so 30 minutes to do a brownie, for example, so that's 5 ringgit, right? So that 5 ringgit, you have to include it in your cost. So I think the manual labor is the most important part to be put into your product costs.
Awesome, cool. The next question we have is, what is the most important skill to have as an entrepreneur and why?
I think it's the dedication and I think you need to have a strong mental, I would say, agility. Because I don't have the strongest, but you sort of need someone to support you during the toughest times. But um, you need to have some resilience, because when you test something out, sometimes people cepat give up. Like they put out a product for that maybe just 1 or 2 months and they're like, oh, it's not selling. And then they just give up and they do something else. But sometimes you're testing a product needs longer time than 2 months, you know? For us, sometimes we put out a product only, okay, this might be too long, but like after a year, then we sort of like see the patterns of like what customers flavors do they like. You know, in between we do like some special edition flavor just to put in and test and things like that. But the overall product range, we test it for a year, because it also depends on how much marketing you do. If you're putting up product for 2 months to test, but you're doing no marketing at all, then is that the correct way to get traction for the particular product? So I think it's just resilience on like just keep on trying, keep on doing. Yeah, because everybody can do business, but not everybody is entrepreneurial. If that's
So what would you say would be the sign to know when to give up? Because like, I mean, there's always like, you can keep on going and you can be resilient, but there's always a time where, or maybe you think that maybe it's just not working. What would you say those signs are?
Okay, this might not be. I would still say not to give up, like find other resources. But I guess if you find yourself being like really unhappy and you have exhaust all your resources, I mean, you have used, I don't know, your parents or your savings. I mean, try not to do that. But I'm just saying, like, if you are really unhappy and you've even tapped in your support system to sort of like help with your business, then I think maybe that's the time to try and do something else. But other than that, don't.
Okay. Awesome. We also have another question. I should ask, how's the outlook and long-term growth for vegan baked goods in Malaysia?
I think it's going to increase, actually. I mean, I've been reading a lot. So for example, like the COVID-19 actually accelerated the substitute for meat market to 12% this year, because you know how the pandemic was from Wuhan and then selling bats in the market and things like that. So it actually created this anxiety over food safety globally, right? Like people are just like worried, food having COVID and stuff like that. So I will see the I don't want to see trend, but the vegan lifestyle to actually increase, because people now have more information about it online, and you have a lot of influencers, even locally in Malaysia, that are creating awareness over vegan, whether it's from a animal standpoint or a health standpoint. So I think there is a growth, and it's going to be long term for it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Izzah, for just really sharing your story, sharing your just all these different questions that we have for you, and just sharing your heart out also. I really appreciate really just being able to learn more about how Big Kale came from, and also just more of your perspective in terms of entrepreneurial skills and everything. Awesome. So guys, that was Izzah from Big Kale sharing about her experience and also just really sharing just her journey. And I hope you guys just really learn something from this and really learn. I think for me personally, I think the word resilience really ringed in my heart, because like I think for me a lot of times that's what's most important. Is really just being able to go through it, what you want to start. You want to start well, but you also want to end well and finish the race well. And also we have another session of Tauke Talks next coming up soon, next Thursday. It's happening 10 a.m. and it's in English. It's also in a live Zoom call. So if you guys are interested, you can, we'll be talking to Senna, founder of Homemade Senna Spice Blend. And the bit.ly link is down there. If you're interested, you can sign up. Tauke Senna Spice, bit.ly/Tauke Senna Spice. Awesome. And if you are interested to learn more about business building, or you want to find out more about the free programs, or even the upcoming Tauke Talk sessions, and you can follow us on our Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and also check us out on YouTube or the website at the bottom there. Yeah, these are our social media handles. So if any of you is interested in just checking us out for anything, you can reach out to us through these social media platforms. Cool. I think we're gonna end now, and thank you so much again, Iza, for just joining us
No
and
problem.
sharing. I think it was just really very detailed and very insightful. And I think even just by talking to you, I learned a lot, because there's like so many things to take in. Yeah. So
Sorry if it was like all over the place, because I
no,
talked a lot.
no, it's okay.
Can go off tangents.
It's okay, because I think we just really learn your heart and what you went through, and I really like that, because you reshare your perspective, and which also made me think, in different person's perspective. Awesome. So we'll be seeing you. Thank you so much, and all the best with your business, especially during this time.
Much.
Thank you. See you, everyone. Thank you for joining.
No problem. Bye.